So the parenting program, it's a group format, which is actually one of the things that I really like a lot about working with this program. It's, number one, meant to be more cost effective than working individually, but I think that it's also so much more than that. The idea of taking parents who are either just an at-risk sample or who are really struggling with their children with challenging behaviors and working with them in a group is just a wonderful way to build support. Also, as a therapist, I have found actually that it's much easier to work in groups because you get parents supporting each other, and you get parents to help each other say some of the things that you as a therapist might not be able to say to a parent. I think that parents can convince other parents to try things maybe more than you as a therapist can. And parents may believe something that they hear from another parent who's also struggling with a child. I personally I love working with groups of parents. I think that there's a generativity to the discussion that happens. Also, I think that the group support that parents get often extends waiting on the group. Sometimes our groups of parents continue to meet, some lasting friendships form, they find ways to continue to connect, which I think is a really nice social support. The programs vary in length from 14 to 22 sessions. Partly that depends on the age of the child, so our baby programs are shorter than our older kid programs. That also depends on whether you're doing a prevention version or a treatment version. Almost all of our treatment versions are in the 18 to 22 week sessions. So once we have a child with diagnosed problems, usually we're working with that family for 4 or 5 months weekly. And some of the prevention programs, it's on the shorter end of the spectrum. These are weekly sessions. They're 2 hours in length. Typically, they are led by 2 therapists, although certainly one therapist can lead it. It's a nice model and almost a luxury to be able to co-lead these groups with another therapist, because you, as a therapist, learn from the other therapist and have that support, but they can be led by one therapist. And one other thing about this program is that it's got quite a bit of support for its effectiveness in culturally diverse populations. So it's been used in a number of different contexts, both by us but also by independent researchers in samples with African American families, with Latino families, with Asian families. It's translated into Spanish and Vietnamese and Chinese, I believe. Different portions of it. I'm not sure that everything is translated into all of these languages. Spanish has a very, very complete translation. It's also been used cross-culturally in other countries. So there is a lot going on in the United Kingdom and the Scandinavian countries. They have also translated these too. And they've replicated a lot of the research findings. So it's fairly robust. And I'll talk as we go through about some of the reasons that I think that is true. Leaders who are interested in leading the incredible years, you can buy the program and lead it on your own. We don't recommend that, but it isn't a program where you have to take a training in order to be able to lead it. We recommend that people take a 3-day training program in how to lead it. Those are offered here in Seattle if people are interested. And then we also recommend ongoing consultation. It's got a very comprehensive set of manuals. There's a lot of material. It's also a tricky program to lead, just like any other program that you're running for the first time. It means that there are a lot of dynamics about leading the group and using the materials, and I think that therapists who try to do it without some training and some consultation often find it very difficult. Once they've had training and consultation, and once you understand the program, I think that it's not a particularly difficult program to lead. So the program basically has several different components, and I'm actually going to jump to the third bullet first, because I think one of the most important pieces of this program is that it's supposed to be a collaborative process. So the group leader is a facilitator. Clearly the group leader also has a lot of knowledge. You need to know the content area very, very well. You need to be comfortable with the kinds of problems that the parents are coming in with, and really to be experienced. But the way that these groups are led is really to try to empower the parents in the group to come at some of these things themselves. So the way that the groups are led is that you as a group leader present material. You facilitate discussions among parents. You offer, you help teach when you need to. So if there's a misconception in the group that parents are not understanding something developmentally or really can't understand or are familiar with the technique, certainly you can help teach that. But otherwise, you're really trying to get the group to come up with what they think about parenting. You're trying to get them to apply it to their own settings. And I think that this is part of the piece that makes it very applicable to a lot of different cultures. So whatever topic you're talking about, you're really asking parents to set their own goals, and you're asking how it would apply in their culture or in their household or with their family, and helping them think about how to apply some developmental principle to their setting and family. And when you do this, it's a really beautiful mix where parents really feel empowered, and you're doing a good job in the class when parents feel like they are teaching themselves. You as a group leader really are actually doing quite a bit to facilitate that. You really want the group of parents to feel that they are doing it. There's a focus on cognitive behavior and affect, so we're really trying to think about what it is that you do in a parenting situation, how you feel about it, and how those emotions are contributing to what you're doing. And then the cognitive piece, so what's going on in your head that may keep you from doing what you think you would like to be doing, what beliefs do you have about your child, what beliefs do you have about yourself. So really tackling all three of those aspects in order to help parents with parenting interaction. It's easy to tell a parent what to do, but we all know as therapists that what gets in the way of that is the affect in the moment or what you're thinking about what's going on. Coping versus mastery model, so really sort of thinking about that we all as parents are learning. There's no perfect parenting. Every one of us as parents make mistakes, and probably not even healthy to call them mistakes because it's just part of what goes on in parenting, and what we're trying to do is figure out how to make an interaction more successful the next time, not beat ourselves up about what happened yesterday. We use videotape modeling, and I'll show you some of the videos later on. These, I think, are one of the beauties of the program is that they show vignettes of parents from lots of different life circumstances, lots of different ages, lots of different kinds of kids. And they are mostly pretty short segments. They might be anywhere from 30 seconds to 2 or 3 minutes of parenting interaction with the child. And some of them are going really, really well. Some of them are not going so well, and some of them are mixes. And some of them, one parent might perceive as really positive, and another parent might perceive as problematic. These are meant to be stems for discussion, for role play, and for thinking what it is that this group believes about what's effective and not effective parenting. So they're not meant to be, you have to parent like this, but you show one, and then you as the group leader facilitate a discussion about that vignette, and try to get parents to think about what's good, what they would improve on, why it might or might not work for them. And again, with the idea that there are no right answers here. You as a group leader have a series of principles that you would like to help them understand, but it's not that it has to be done in a particular way. We use a lot of role play and rehearsal, and home assignments. So each week parents are given an assignment to go home and practice with their child, and we take them pretty seriously. We call them between sessions to find out how it's going. There's also group support. We assign each parent a buddy, and there's a homework assignment and an expectation that they call and check in with their buddies during the week. We also do a lot of buddy work in the groups, and we're pretty thoughtful about how we pair those buddies up. So thinking about which parents might be good buddies for each other based on a lot of different things that go on. We work really hard to get 2 parents involved whenever possible, and that doesn't have to be a mom and a dad. We sometimes have grandparents come, we sometimes have a foster parent and a biological parent, sometimes we have a parent and a sister brother who's living in the house, sometimes we even have older teens. So we're really working on having every parent who wants someone to have someone come in as a group support. Quickly just going through the topics for the parenting program. So the basic sequence really spends about the first half of the program on positive parenting. And really 3 to 4 weeks, and with some populations even more, on thinking about the parent-child relationship, parent-child attachment, thinking about how to help parents interact in positive ways with their children. This is child-directed play. This is social and emotional coaching, teaching parents how to coach their children. in this kind of play. And we do this for a couple of reasons. And again, I don't think that this is anything new or rocket science to any of you all, but the idea that parents who are coming in with a child who is challenging, or parents who come in without a lot of, maybe didn't have such supportive parenting relationships of their own, maybe feeling fairly negative with your child. If they have a child who is non-compliant, who is aggressive, who is hard to manage, probably 90% of their interactions with this child right now are negative. They may not like this child very much right now. They're probably feeling pretty badly about that, or maybe they're just so frustrated that they can't even feel badly about that. But the idea that if we can help them see some positives in that child, if we can help them have one little piece, what we recommend is that we teach them how to do child-directed play, and we say, do this for 5 or 10 minutes every day. And right now, try to let the other stuff go and just do this for 5 or 10 minutes. If we can start to shift that relationship a little bit. What's really fun is that often, before we even get to discipline, before we even get to how they respond to the negative stuff, they're already reporting that they're seeing a reduction in those behaviors because the positive relationships stem to other good things. The child is a little bit more willing to do something for them. The other really practical piece of this is that we don't want to pile discipline on top of a negative relationship. If you're talking about timeout, or you're talking about taking away privilege from a child who's not bought into this relationship with your parent, it just won't be a very effective strategy. So we start with play. Then we move on to praise, thinking about how to praise and what kinds of things to praise. And praise can be controversial, so helping parents sort of sort through how praise may work and what context it may work, and where it could be that it's not as effective strategy. Same thing with incentives and reward systems. So of course in any behaviorally based system, the idea of what's reinforcing and what's not reinforcing is important, but there's a lot to sort through. There are a million ways that reinforcement systems can go wrong, and probably as many ways as they can go right, and really trying to help families think about that and target those behaviors and not overuse them, but use them strategically where they need to. So the whole first half of the program is based on building up skills. So we want to think about all those behaviors they want to see more of. And of course, linked to each behavior they want to see more of is a problem behavior they want to see less of, but we really try to get them to be focusing on the building. Because we want those children to have replacement skills. We want them to know what to do. You can't just take away the aggression without building up something for them to do instead. The second half of the program is on effective limit setting. So we start there. There's a unit on just what are the rules and expectations in their houses. And often what we're doing is really encouraging parents to strategize, to pick their battles, to take away the 25 rules they have and pick what are the three most important ones. We find that on average when we observe parents, parents are giving around 30 to 60 commands in a 30-minute period. So 1 to 2 commands per minute. And these are a range of parents. These are not all parents with challenging children. These are not bad parents. These are just, we tell our kids to do a lot. And if you're a parent or a grandparent, and next time you're with a child, just start counting how many times you're asking your child to do something. If you have a pretty compliant child, a pretty easygoing child, it may not be an issue. They'll probably do most of what you say, and some of them will just kind of drift over their head. If you have a non-compliant child or a challenging child, each of those commands is met with resistance. So if you think of asking a child to do 30 to 60 things in a minute, and they say no to, in 30 minutes, and they say no to each one of those, that is a bunch of really negative interactions. So part of the effective limit setting is first trying to adjust their expectations. What's really important. Do I care if he wears a red shirt or a green shirt? Maybe I just want him to get dressed. So think of those, just sort of readjust their expectations. We also teach, ignoring. We teach how to use a calm, safe timeout, brief timeout. We teach them how to think about consequences. So how to use an appropriate consequence that is brief, and all the discipline piece is really thinking about getting that child back into a new learning trial. So we want to try to move it on so the discipline becomes, we want to stop the behavior in the moment, but then we want to think about getting them back into that bottom half of our, we think of this as a parenting pyramid. I didn't bring our pyramid today, but the idea that the bottom half of the pyramid is the positive piece. And we want to be spending much more of our parenting effort and energy on that process.